Hey, FlimsyLunchTray here, and welcome to our Monday edition video, where typically on Mondays we do topic videos here in World of Warships. So, last week I did a coal ship list, and today I'm going to be doing a steel ship list. And I'm going to carry the same disclaimer as last week's video, and that I feel underqualified in my thoughts on this. And it's entirely my opinion. You may totally disagree with me, and that is fine. I am not saying my way is the highway, the only correct way and how to view these ships, but this is just my opinions and maybe help give you some guidance when you're looking at steel ships that you may be saving your steel up for, because let's face it takes a good chunk of time to save up this very valuable resource. And so when you do spend it, you want to spend it as wise as possible. So we're going to talk about steel ships today. So I already have 2 of the 8 current steel ships that are presently available here during 11.2 update. So we're just going to start from the top and work the way down, and then I'm going to recommend the top 3, I guess, ships that I would recommend going for first. So we're going to start off with Mr. Sky Cancer here, Mr. Franklin D. Roosevelt, a Tier 10 American aircraft carrier. This ship was the most OP carrier here in World of Warships. And then Wargaming decided to introduce something called the Nakhimov, if I'm even saying that correctly, the Tier 10 Russian aircraft carrier in the tech tree. And that ship is disgustingly OP and takes number 1 and set FDR back to number 2, disgustingly overpowered. So let's talk a little bit about why that is, okay? So what it sets apart the FDR and let's say something like the Tier 10 Tech Tree American CV, the Midway, is namely due to the number of aircraft and the attack times between each of your strikes being, I think, roughly, I don't remember off the top of my head, but something like maybe 13, 15 seconds? I don't remember. So anyhow, the FDR is worth 33,000 steel. And of course, if you have a coupon, you can get that down even further. But this thing is just wicked, okay? You have the attack aircraft. These have high explosive rockets, so it's a very wider dispersion ellipse that it attacks in. You have torpedo bombers, and then you have your bombers, so your dive bombers with the high explosive HE bombs. When you're looking at in terms of the, let's see, how did they phrase it? Size of attacking flight, you can see 2. Here you see 2. And here 2 again, but then the attack aircraft per squadron, 14, and then 14, and then 14. What makes the FDR so interesting is the long extended time between each attack run that you have to wait until you can attack again. But it's also the health. These planes are very, very hard to kill, even if you have a Tier 10 American cruiser destroyer kitted out to delete aircraft. FDR planes are going to be standing the test of time. I actually have in one of my meme compilation videos where I got pretty lucky in Worcester, and I didn't have an AA build in Worcester, but I had FDR with his 14 planes with the torpedo dive bomber attack, or torpedo bomber attack, and I was just eating them for breakfast because he was so close. I had the defensive AA going, and he was eating all my flak, and we almost deleted that whole entire squadron. And that is a very, very rare exception where you're going to have instances like that. So these planes are very hard to kill, but another thing that makes this aircraft carrier really powerful is while you're waiting for the next attack, it's the spotting damage that is occurring in the meantime in between its different attack runs. So let's say something like the Hakuryu or a different Tier 10 aircraft carrier, not the Nakhimov, where you're lining up multiple attack runs. The whole time you're just flying around the enemy and you're lighting up multiple ships. That is what one of the other things that makes FDR such a powerhouse in those terms. So it's a good CV. So if you love playing CVs, you're probably going to like playing the FDR, if we are being honest. Okay. Next, we have Shikishima. This is basically a Yamato hull, but the biggest thing that is different here is the guns. These, instead of with the Yamato, you have 9. Oh, I don't remember how large size guns are. They're 18-inch guns on the Yamato. We're here on the Shikishima. You have 510 millimeter guns. So I'm going to pull that up on my phone. 20-inch guns is what you're getting here, but you get fewer. Okay. I have heard a lot of other WoW's YouTube content creators, people who've played this ship, say it's basically Yamato with fewer guns, but these guns have probably the most satisfying sound in the game when you fire them. This big deep boom, but you get fewer guns. So a lot of players say you're just better off go for the Yamato first, and then you can pick up Shikishima later. With Shikishima, I mean, you already get 18-inch guns, and you get 9 instead of 6. So that's one of the things that they often bring up when they're talking about the Shikishima. So if you like playing the Yamato and you really love playing the Yamato, then likely you might be enjoying the Shikishima as well. You can even see on the side, there's a lot of different things going on here in terms of the AA, your secondaries. You have these 100 millimeter, and then these 3 sets of 3 2x3. I'll zoom in here. Yeah, these big bad boys. You get 2 of them. One on the forward part and one on the rear. And then all these secondary armaments here on the side. People basically say it's like having, I don't know if this is correct. If you know, please correct me if I'm wrong. But it's like having a Harugumo strapped to each side of your ship. That's tier 10 gunboat Japanese destroyer. And I have seen people do a secondary build even with this, because you already start off with 7.7. So that is something you can do, but this ship is all about playing more of the range. Okay, not even taking spotting aircraft into account. It's playing the range. It's playing these accurate salvos that you're landing at distance. Also known for deleting sky cancer across the map. That is really what you're looking at here with the Shikishima. Incomparable. This is the newest steel ship at this point in time in the Armory. It's a British battleship. If you have seen the Repulse, this ship reminds me a lot of the Repulse. They came in about the same time. Repulse is a tier 6 British battleship, also with 6 guns, but there is a difference in the size of guns. So these get 6 508 millimeter guns. One of the other very interesting things when we look at this ship is the concealment. The concealment is wicked on this ship. You can see it's really long. Okay, so this ship has an immense turning circle radius of 1,160 meters, but the concealment is nasty. Okay, this is not even taking into mounting the concealment on slot 5, nor is it taking into account concealment experts on your commander. I don't remember what this gets it down to when you do both of those. I think it's 10 something. Maybe I can do a little icon here saying what it is when you have it all equipped. But that makes this ship nasty, okay? Because you can push in really close and you can just slap a cruiser or battleship that's not paying attention. Granted, the weakness of this ship is the armor. It's a very fragile tier 10 battleship. When we start taking some things away, you can see the citadel on this is very, 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 very long, okay? Goes all the way to the front turrets, all the way to the rear turret, okay? When you show broadside in this, you are eating damage, like this nasty damage. When you have the 25 millimeter, so a little bit different there, and then 152, and then 25 millimeter here on the rear as well. And the thing also is use immense, very, very, very long superstructure, okay? So this ship pretty much lives and dies by its gimmicks, and that's what excels the ship. Okay, it costs 31,000, but the number of available consumables you have is rather ridiculous. You get a specialized repair team, you get an engine boost, you get a short-range hydroacoustic search, and you get spotting aircraft or fighter aircraft. And on top of that, the armaments, you also have torpedoes. So actually, let's hop back into the port real quick. You get 2x4, so let's show you the location of these torpedoes right here. More on the rear part of the superstructure. 2x4 that are 10 kilometers, but they're slowish at 62 knots. So if a battleship cruiser decides to push on you, this is basically your trump card, right? I had this happen to me. I was in Stalingrad, Incomparable getting around the corner, and his trump card was the torpedoes, even though I did a good chunk of damage to him before dying. So weak armor, but it's a very interesting battleship that I think takes a bit more of a higher skill floor to get the most out of. You have the Austin, and Austin has been brought up a lot lately as I record this video during update 11.2 in regards to a cruiser, premium cruiser that's going to be sort of like the Austin called the San Diego. That's kind of been a little fiasco with that right now. But we're talking about the Austin. The Austin is an American cruiser, a project which was developed at the end of World War II. The ship is armed with 12 dual-purpose 127mm guns and 6 turrets. So dual-purpose means also for anti-air. You also get 2 quintuple tube torpedo launchers. This main gimmick of this ship, as we hop down here to the available consumables, is this nasty little guy, the main battery reload booster. It is a 75% instead of the standardized 50%. And she does SAP shells and high explosive shells, so she doesn't get AP shells. This ship requires very high situational awareness to get the most out of this ship, because you're also dealing with the armor, and that the ship can be extremely squishy. Okay, so when we're looking at the armor, you have 16mm plating like you'd find on a destroyer. This is a very, very light cruiser. And then you get this 32mm armor belt. And then the Citadel is just right there. So I'll just strip things away. And there you get to see the Citadel and how it even comes up here towards the front and extends to the rear, kind of connecting with all the turrets, if you will. So if you're going to survive this ship well, and bouncing battleship shells, most of the ones, you really want to try to angle well and utilizing your belts. Yeah, it's really that. It takes, so situational awareness, positioning, 29,000 steel, and you're playing this ship mostly around the instances that you're able to dish out ridiculous amounts of damage with the main battery reload booster. You also get the defensive AA, repair party, and a hydroacoustic search. It's not a standard, it's just a normal one on the American cruisers that you find. And the ship has really good AA stats, if I'm not mistaken. So it's a very interesting ship, but in the time periods you're waiting between this main battery reload booster coming off cooldown, you might be playing a little more passive because the reload time actually is 8 seconds without taking any skills into account or upgrades for that matter. And the maximum range is 15. So you're trying to work islands, you're working smoke, maybe you're in a div to get the most out of this ship. So, yeah, you're just playing around, waiting till your main battery reload booster comes off cooldown, and then it's your time to shine. You step out, you dish a lot of damage. Maybe there's a cruiser, battleship who's turning on broadside. If you get caught out by an Austin and a destroyer, you will get eaten alive. So be conscious of this guy, but you don't see it too much since it's come out in the game. And then you get the Ragnar. It's a tier 10 destroyer, a large post-war destroyer with cruiser caliber guns and strong AA armament. She is among the European destroyers. I'm supposed to say pan-European destroyers. It is a post-war destroyer with rapid firing 152 millimeter main battery guns. Wargaming has been introducing a lot more post-World War II ships lately, after following the war of ending in 1945. Then there's a lot of 50s and even maybe some early 60s Cold War ships beginning to come into the game. It seems to be the trend they're heading towards lately. This destroyer, she's got large dimensions, but she has good armor, and her guns are very, very accurate. But it comes at a cost of reducing concealment and maneuverability. Her HE, good penetration, and then she also gets armor piercing. And it gets the surveillance radar, repair party, and engine boost. So because you don't get a smoke, that's kind of the gimmick. If you don't get smoke, usually you get a repair party. The radar, I think it's a 7.5 kilometer radar. And then you get an emergency engine power, engine boost. It significantly increases the maximum speed of the ship, and it has a short action time as a result for 27,000 steel. And you get forward launching depth charges on this ship too. But this ship's main battery guns, if we go to look at the artillery and the reload time, 3.2 seconds before you take any skills, commander skills, or upgrades into account. They just can dish out so much damage really quickly. But these guns are super accurate. They have very, very tight dispersion, so you can usually just knock out enemy destroyers pretty well. Here you can see we have some 19 millimeter armor thickness, and then to the 25 millimeter armor thickness, something you'd find much more on a cruiser, right? So this can be very trolly for enemy destroyers to deal with. If you're shattering here on the side plating, maybe you're going for more the foreign plating or the rear, the aft, or using AP against the side, or lifting your shots more into the superstructure. So this is the little tanky little guy. Survivability, 26,500, again, without taking a commander into account. Decent AA, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, you can see 6.9 kilometer. Continuous damage by AA and damage by shell explosions, which you could buff these up even more. Maneuverability, 35 knots, 770 meter turning circle radius, 5.6 rudder shift time. Concealment without taking concealment expert or concealment on your upgrades into account, you're right now sitting at 9.6 and 4.7. So you can definitely get that down much more. I think it's like, maybe I can throw it up here into the corner of the screen again, what the concealment is when maxed out. But basically you get spotted, you light your radar. So this is a very good competitive King of the Seas tournaments. Also clan battles ranked. This guy is a very tough destroyer to deal with, and right now is the next steel ship I'm actually looking to pick up. Plymouth. All right, it is a tier 10 British cruiser. She's got these 1,652 millimeter guns. This is a project ship as far as I'm concerned. Because it's a project ship, this ship never existed in real life. She, like a lot of her other British counterparts, also comes with a lot of consumables, very wide variety at that. You get your standard cruiser damage control party, you get a repair party, hydroacoustic search, smoke generator, and a radar. Usually you do not see smoke and surveillance radar tied together. So again, it's kind of more of a selling point with the gimmicks here that I like to phrase this as. Of Wargaming trying to get you to pick up this ship. It does have higher arcing ballistics of her shells, but a good rate of fire. So 27,000 steel. Let's go into the Armory and check her out. First, let's look at the armor layout. 16 millimeter, 19 millimeter, and then 114 millimeter. Take it away. What do we got? We have a very long citadel that is a little bit above waterline. So this cruiser, you show broadside, you get deleted, especially if there are players paying attention. You also get these 2x4 sets of torpedo launchers, 10 kilometers, 62 knots. typical 533 millimeter. Looking at the artillery, the reload time 6.5 seconds, 180 degree turn time of 22.5 seconds, and you just get AP with the Plymouth. So that's your only armament. But you can do some nasty things with the Plymouth if you play it well. Granted, it's nice that you have your smokescreen that you can utilize. But if you're not careful, you stay too long, overextend, you will get punished very quickly in this ship. The maneuverability, not terrible. The concealment, 11.7, so that means you're beginning this down into 9 kilometer range. Maybe I could throw another max concealment thing up here in the top corner. I don't see this ship a lot. Yeah, I don't see it a lot. Now, let's talk about the 2 steel ships I do have, our last 2 of the 8 here. The first steel ship I picked up was the Bourgogne. It's a tier 10 French premium battleship, and I enjoy playing the Bourgogne so much. It's an Alsace class French battleship. Compared to many of her other peers that you find in the game, she carries a good number of main guns, 12, kind of standard what you'll find at tier 10 for the most part, but smaller caliber. But this is compensated due to the main battery reload booster. It's a 50%, not 75% like you find on the Austin. And she is a very formidable opponent at, I'm going to say, at long range, medium range, and close range. So close quarters fighting. This ship can be nasty to deal with. Okay, so let's talk a little bit more about it. You can even see they've labeled some things out here. The guns are 12 380 millimeter guns and 3 quadruple turrets. Standard firing range of 24.8 and main gun reload time 28 seconds. High speed 32 knots, especially if then you put on something like the Sarah Mike flag, and then you pop your engine boost, standard engine boost. You are booking. You are outrunning other tier 10 destroyers. So it's a lot of fun there. Here you can see the main battery reload booster. Reduces reload time of the main battery guns by 50% for a period of 20 seconds. So for example, I'll fire and then I instantly pop the main battery reload booster, and I can get 2 more following salvos off rather quickly before I end up losing it. I already have the ship. Let me take you into the port and we'll talk about this ship. So we'll just keep Russian and French. We call commander, and let's go ahead and check out the ship. So I like this camouflage. It's rather fun. One of the things with the Bourgogne is your health pool. You have 74,700. So there's a lot of other battleships at tier 10 that have 90,000 or over 100,000. A few at the 100,000, but a lot more over the 90,000 mark. So you don't have a lot of health to play with. So Bourgogne is more like a ship I like to play more the medium to long range for the first half. Then the last half of the battle, then I'm flexing what health I have left and getting medium to close range fighting. Okay, but it also has decent torpedo protection at 44%. We look at the armor layout. It's 32 millimeter, pretty much across the board of the entire ship. And then we strip away some of the armor. Let's find out what's going on with the Citadel armor. You can see it's just a little bit above waterline. Okay, 50 millimeter, and then 370, 250. So you will eat damage if you show too much broadside very quickly, especially kind of how this part of the hull slopes up here. But your artillery is deadly. She has actually decent AA defense, continuous damage 398, shell explosion 1680, firing range of 6 kilometers. So she's no slouch when it comes to the AA. It's notable. You'll be paying attention to it, especially if you're a carrier player trying to attack this ship. Maneuverability, a turn stroke radius of 910 meters, 32 knots, and 16.6. So this is actually not too bad. I find this ship very enjoyable to play in terms of maneuverability. And concealment right now, we have it at 13.2 kilometers. I'm pretty sure we have concealment expert mounted, which we do. And I even have running in unique commander on this guy, or has some perks. So the ship's fun. Even the secondary armaments, it's 8.7 kilometers. I've noticed my secondaries have kicked in from time to time. They're kind of just stacked along this row alongside of the ship. Then you have these ones up here, the 152 millimeter 3x3. They've saved me a couple times here and there in playing this ship. I don't even know what I want to look at the summary of my ship, see if I'm playing it well or not. Okay, you see 12 battles played here. I'm pretty positive I've played this ship more in ranked. So let's switch over to ranked. Bourgogne. Okay, 6 battles. I haven't played the ship a lot, apparently. I thought I played it much more than that. You will find several videos I have up on YouTube in playing the ship. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm not trying to exile the game. I just want to go back to the Armory. This thing, what I love about it with these guns, especially when you have armor piercing loaded, is that the Bourgogne eats broadside cruisers alive. Nothing like citadeling Yoshinos at 22, 23, 24 kilometers away, which I have the video of doing that up on YouTube. I just love playing this ship. It's a lot of fun. I wanted something a little different, so that's why I ended up going with this French premium battleship. I've never regretted playing this ship thus far. All right, Stalingrad, the last one. I think Stalingrad is the oldest steel ship in World Warships, if I'm not mistaken. She is a heavy cruiser with these rail guns that are just insanely good. 9 305 millimeter guns. She's got defensive AA. The defensive AA lasts a little longer than your standard AA. Usually defensive AA fire lasts 40 seconds. On Stalingrad, it lasts for 60 seconds, but it has a longer cooldown time. I'd rather just have the 40, but 60, there you go. 12 kilometer radar with your standard repair party. So let's just go ahead and let's go back into port. Let's look at Stalingrad. Stalingrad, and Bourgogne. This is what I'm thinking. I have been playing a lot more Bourgogne in when we've had grand battles and dirigible derby and arms race. That's where I have a lot more game experience on the Bourgogne. I was like, what the heck? Same thing on the Stalingrad. I've been playing the ship a lot in dirigible derby to get a feel for it. It is quite a lot of fun. So let's go ahead and give it a breakdown real quick. The armor is very strong on the Stalingrad, except when you show broadside. So you can see 50 millimeter, 25 millimeter come out to the side, 50 millimeter down 180, 25. Take things away. Let's look at the Citadel. Yeah, that's pretty high up out of the water. Okay, and it's very long too. With Stalingrad, to make her work, basically don't show broadside. A lot of times you're just going to be kind of like maybe angled in firing, or you're going to be kiting away, fighting with, all the turrets facing back this way to balance a lot of shells. If you're not careful, you can definitely get slapped for a lot of health when you're broadside in Stalingrad. What is most impressive about her, you also have really nice health pool for a Tier 10 heavy cruiser, is these guns. These guns are wicked, and they will punish battleships and cruisers like nothing else. A lot of fun. When something like playing the Des Moines, which I've loved playing the Des Moines in comparison with Stalingrad. With Des Moines, the shell travel time feels like it takes a long time. Okay, so shell velocity, 950 meters a second. Where something like Des Moines, let me just pull that up real quick, just to help you wrap your head around it. If you already have the Des Moines, give me Des Moines. 762 meters a second, and then 823 for the high explosive. So when you go from playing something like Des Moines to Stalingrad, you're going to notice pretty quickly, because of these rail guns, you're going to be pulling your shots in a lot further in. You're not going to be leading as much. But this ship is wicked. Just wicked. AA defense is pretty good. 338 for continuous, 1820 for damage by shell explosions. And you can see we're running the very special unique commander, Nikolai Kuznetsov, that has some fun skills. Another weak point, besides the broadside, is your concealment. So right now, we have concealment going on with the Stalingrad. So max concealment we can get to, I want to confirm I have everything, is that 14.2 kilometers. So without concealment, you feels like being spotted from the moon kind of thing. I think it goes back over 17, 18. So you have to be careful when you're positioning, moving to an island or a flank, that you just don't get deleted if you get caught out broadside by an enemy destroyer detecting you. Let's just look at the stats of the ship, just because I want to be honest in how I'm doing with Stalingrad. Okay, we're in ranked again. And ranked has been good so far in playing Stalingrad. Like I said, I played more in Dirigible Derby lately to get a more feel of the ship. So then I guess when you're playing in game modes like that, it's not being recorded. Random battles is a little bit of a different story for myself with Stalingrad. I've only had 5 battles, 1 ship destroyed on average, I guess. And my most per battle is 132,000. I'm still personally getting a hang of Stalingrad. I picked her up, was it beginning of Christmas? After Christmas? It was whenever the coupon reset. That's when I picked it up. So I'm still getting the hang of this ship, but she has been impressive nonetheless, and I feel like I'm finding my way in her more now. All right, let's wrap this video up. We're over 32 minutes right now. So, what would I recommend as your first 3 steel ships? Well, it is such a hard decision for the #1 spot because Bourgogne Stalingrad. Stalingrad has been the longest ship, steel ship in the Armory, that I'm aware of, that I think. Correct me if I'm wrong. So maybe if you're looking to grind for a ship right now, maybe you want to pick up Stalingrad. I don't know if Wargaming will ever remove the ship from the Armory, but if they do, they give you a 3 months heads up. And I know for some of us, getting enough steel to pick up the ship in conjunction with the coupon in 3 months window, it might be really tough, especially if you don't have the coupon. But personally for me, if I could do it again, I would say Bourgogne for me takes the #1 slot. It's a typical battleship. Show too much broadside, you get punished, and you have the fun gimmick of the main battery reload booster and decent AA. Second, I would say the Stalingrad, just because she's really reliable. She's very comfortable, especially if you are a newer player and you're figuring things out, because she has this strong Russian armor. But you show too much broadside, you get punished, and concealment being a weakness. But the railgun accuracy and how fast the guns, the shells fly, is really good, and you can punish ships really well. For my third pick, this is kind of come down maybe to more of my preference a little bit. These two, regardless of my preference, are fantastic ships overall. But maybe you just want to have battleship as steel again and again and again. I see, if you don't like CVs, Ragnar or Incomparable taking the 3rd slot. For me personally, I would say on my list, Ragnar being #3, just because her accuracy of her main battery guns are ridiculous. They have very tight shell dispersion, good AA. She has the repair party radar. So kind of going, battleship, cruiser, destroyer, mixing things up a bit. If you are a carrier player, you probably honestly want to pick up FDR in maybe one of those 3 slots. She's really good. Wouldn't hurt if Wargaming nerfed her a bit more. The nerf they did give her was ridiculously small and hardly affected it. So that'd be my top 3 picks here. The one that's going to be my bottom on my list would be Plymouth. Don't see much of her, and she can be somewhat difficult to play. Austin kind of fits in with that role too. You have to have a very high skill floor to get the most out of Plymouth and Austin, in my opinion. but not so much on these other steel ships. Shikishima, very comfort pick of a steel ship, plays very, identical to Yamato. So you just have to keep in mind what you're dealing with. But if you only have Yamato, why get Yamato 2.0 that has fewer guns, but they're bigger and very nice sounding guns when they fire. So if you're pushing me further, Flimsy, like you're saying, what would you choose as your fourth pick? Oh my. This is me personally. Me personally, I'm going to go for Austin next. I like a challenge. Call me nuts, call me insane, but I like a challenge. Incomparable would be right up there with it. And I'm a bit biased for American ships too, even though I'm not a CP player. At some point, I will be picking up FDR. So that's going to wrap it up. So if you liked today's video of me giving you my underqualified thoughts on these steel ships, give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, give it a thumbs down. Subscribe if you do want to see more. If you're subscribed, thanks so much. As a note, there are several other YouTube Wilds content creators, I think, who've done steel ship list. I think Flamu has Potato Quality, Maltese Knight. I'm drawing blanks, but if you just look up steel ships, World of Warships, I'm sure that there's some other players who can give you a bit more better opinion, who've been playing the game longer than I have, and play more games that I've had, and also own these ships, since I only own 2 of the 8. So, until next time, take care.